Time for the Creator Town Hall here on Studio Live today, brought to you by the wonderful folks at Bandlab. Yeah, if you're starting out with your creative journey, if you're looking to collaborate with other folks, or you just want a cool platform that can help you create more music, check out Bandlab. It's 100% free. You can make music, you can collaborate, and it's a whole lot of fun, and we thank Bandlab for their support. We'll talk a little more about Bandlab later, but for now we've got to crack right on in, because here on the Creator Town Hall, sometimes I like to fly solo, but more often than not, I invite another creator on to the show. And joining me for the first time in probably close to 2 years since he's been here on the channel is from across the ditch over in New Zealand. We have the one and only Mr. Glen Clark. What's going down, Glenn?
Hey Pete, has it really been 2 years? It probably
It's
has been actually.
It's been a long time. So you were on the original creator show that I used to do. So this is sort of the new
Yeah.
version, and we're episode 66. Well, that's a bit
Wow.
ominous. Episode 66 of the Creator Town Hall, and you were on the previous show. And yeah, it
Fantastic.
must be close
I
to two
think I
years ago.
was I think I was one of your first live interviews as opposed to pre-recorded. So
I
it's good
think
to
you
be back.
actually were. I do remember that. We'll chat about that later, because I was definitely in the learning phase back then. That was back in the Google Hangouts days. We didn't have all the fancy things and StreamYard that we
Yeah,
use here
yeah.
now today. It's all interesting. Anyway, for folks, sorry, I'm just getting into a chat with Glenn here, but we should probably introduce Glenn properly for folks who don't know. And a lot of people introduce their guests, and that would probably be the polite thing to do. But I like to put my guests out there and make them introduce themselves. So, Glenn, for folks who don't know you and aren't aware of you and your music, what's the Glenn Clark elevator pitch? What's the short version of the Glenn Clark story?
The short version. Oh man, putting me on the spot. Okay. Glenn Clark is a singer-songwriter from New Zealand. I produce, create my own songs, albums, and music videos. So I like to do the full package. I'm up to my fourth album. I released my fourth album last month, called You Can't See Me. And I just love creating. I'm a bit of a solo producer, so everything you see or hear is all done by me, myself, and I, the team of three.
Which is awesome. And look, I know folks that know you and know your music know this already, but you don't do things by halves, mate. And every time you release a new song and you do a video, it's pretty next level stuff. And we'll talk later, because the topic today is all about creativity and the fact that you can harness, you can use a whole bunch of different forms of creativity to bring it all together. So when you say I'm a singer, songwriter, a musician, you got a lot more other facets to you, Glenn, that we'll dive into. We're going to analyze the man, the myth, the legend, Glenn Clark. But welcome to the folks that we have here live today. If you do have questions for Glenn, we are interactive. All you need to do is type the word question at the start of your comment. And while I throw questions out and throw topics out to Glenn, if you've got any questions, we'll bank them up, and we'll ask those to Glenn as we go through the show. And once again, we are brought to you today by Bandlab. So use the link below to check out Bandlab, because they are kind enough. They are facilitating these cool creator conversations. Should we say g'day to the folks who are here live? Because I know you will know many of these names, Glenn. We've got the one and only Thomas Christ, who says Glenn's videos are always tops and brilliantly conceived and executed. There you go. Creator extraordinaire, says Mark. Mate, you're going to go bright red in a minute.
I know
All
I'm
the
starting to
kudos.
blush already.
We've got Mr. Ron Ward, who's here as well. We've got Scott
Hey, Ron.
Borthwick from across a very from across the larger pond over
Larger
there. We've
pond.
got Derek Smith from right here in Australia as well.
Hey, Derek.
We've got the one and only Jade Starr, who just interviewed
Yeah,
my
Jade.
wife,
It
which
was a
was kind
great
of fun.
interview, actually. It was awesome. I caught the end of it. It was cool.
Yes, very, very cool. So go back and catch the replay if you missed that one. Clayton Von Kluge, hello to you. And we've got Gary Hubbs is here as well. So a lot of familiar faces here. And if you're dropping on by, say good day if you're here live. And if you're on the replay and you've got questions, do throw those out as well. We're going to cover some topics here today. But like I said, Glenn, creativity was the sort of the first thing you threw out there when I said, Glenn, what are we going to chat about on the Creator Town Hall? So what does creativity mean to you, and what are some ways that you've kind of engaged with your own creativity over the years?
Ooh. Um, yeah, creativity for me is kind of like I know that's my driving force, I suppose, creativity, and I love um, I love the whole package. So for me, in creating music, it's not just about the song; it's about the whole experience for the listener or the viewer. I love to have a video that goes along with the song, and I can't sort of move on from one song to the next until I've done the full package and put it out there. If that makes any sense, like I can't record two songs at once. I've tried it, and it's just messed with my head. So yeah, for me, creativity is that full package, and it's all about the little details and things as well. Like quite often, I'll hide things in my music that only I know that's there, but I
Uh,
don't care if anyone else picks up on it. But I know it's there, sort of thing. It's all about the detail and stuff like that for me. So
That's yeah, that makes so much sense, and it's interesting, and I'll throw it out here to the live audience too, and as well. Well, if you're watching on the replay, same question goes for you. Can you work on multiple projects at once, or do you do one at a time? And I must admit, I'm very similar to you, Glenn, in that once I have an idea in my head, I have to kind of get it to completion. And
yeah,
a lot of people will say, "Oh, just start on one thing," and then they jump around and get distracted. And look, I have done that before. It doesn't come naturally for me, and my problem is I never get back and finish. If I don't commit to finishing the first time around, it'll just never get done. So yeah, it's an interesting one that you do it that way around. And if you have seen any of Glenn's videos, tell us about the because this is a song from your most recent album that you've
oh
just
yeah.
released called "You Can't See Me," the
Mm.
title track there. What was the deal with the Rubik's Cube? Had you ever Rubik's Cubed before? Because speed
Uh,
cubing's been a pretty massive thing, and if you haven't watched the video before, you got to go check it out. We'll throw it on here in the background just in silent mode while
yep,
Glenn
that
lets us
sounds
know
cool.
about this. So what's the deal with the Rubik's Cube, mate?
Uh, so I so I guess it's kind of two components to the song. The first one was I was playing hide and seek with my daughter, and she said she covered her eyes and said, "If I can't see you, you can't see me." And I thought, "Gee, that's a good,
Ah,
what a great title for a song." And I had no idea
yeah.
what it was to do with. And about that time that I started writing the song, I thought, I don't know why, but I found myself a Rubik's cube and started, you know, YouTube video, learning how to do it and that sort of thing. So essentially, I learned to do the Rubik's Cube. I then thought, wouldn't it be cool to be able to do a music video with a Rubik's Cube? And then it was like, well, but what? And I need a song to go with it. So it kind of all happened at the same time that the song became, or the Rubik's Cube concept became the song, if that makes any sense. It's sort of,
Mm.
yeah, I guess that reverse engineering of a song concept. And the challenge with the Rubik's Cube, I think I had to, because you'll notice in the video, I put it down while I'm singing the choruses. So I had to get myself to speed so I could complete the cube within 1 minute 45. Even though it's a 3 minute video, that's the only time I had to kind
Oh.
of complete it. So nothing like pressure. And this, what you're watching, what you're watching here is the 20th take of me
I was going to
sitting on the
ask how
floor
many takes we
in the
had.
hall and playing. And I think I made only about three of those, but the other two were finished ahead of time. So I had to time it so I finished it bang at the end of the song. So I just like to put this pressure on myself to try and create these sort of weird and wonderful videos, I suppose. But yeah,
And
that's the Rubik's Cube thing.
it's such an interesting concept because I think many of us, when we sit down to write, we sit down to create, it's like blank canvas stuff, and we don't start with anything, or you start with the
Yeah.
music. But the concept of starting with a video concept or an idea for a video, and I know Thomas Christ is similar. I was chatting with him the other day on the show, or a few weeks back, and he's got every time he does an album, he kind of has the title and the theme of the album going in, and then works the songs around that. So his current
Yeah.
one, which is about sort of future, I can't remember the title of the album, Thomas. That's terrible of me. But yeah, all of the songs kind of tie into that overall theme. Is that something? And we'll talk albums a bit later. Is that something that you
Mm.
tend to do with your creativity? Is it important that everything fits together outside of just individual components and individual songs?
Yeah, it does. So my third album was called Hide and Seek, and every song on the album relates to hiding or finding something or seeking sort of thing. So I tried to keep that string of continuity going through all of the songs. In fact, all of my all of my albums have followed a theme. So we've got Nowhere to Hide was the first one. Then the second album was Hiding in the Spotlight, Hide and Seek, and now You Can't See Me. And they all have that theme of hiding. And I guess my reasoning behind that is, with the music industry that we're in and creating in, it's really easy to disappear in this industry. Like, you can create some amazing music that it just flies under the radar and things like that. And I quite like the fact that there's this amazing music that's not mainstream and popular, yet it's hiding in the spotlight. It's there for everyone to see, but it's not immensely popular, and I quite like that. It's quite cool.
Oh, that is very cool, and it's a great way of putting it, I guess, because I think a lot of people get despondent or a little bit unmotivated, that they think that, I'm never going to be at that level, and that level differs for everyone. Some people want to be multi-millions album selling, gold record gaining, contracted, driving the Ferraris, and other people just are happy if a handful of people listen to their music and can share in their art. So
I'm definitely in that camp. If I make my music for me, and I enjoy listening to myself. That probably sounds really really conceited. However, it's and if people react to it, enjoy it, so much the better. That actually, it makes your day when you hear that someone got a kick out of one of your videos, or really enjoyed a song. Or, if you can impact, if it affects one person in the world, then that's a good thing. So.
Yeah, it is so true, and I think the beauty is, and I think we chatted about this, 2 years ago, because we were talking that you creating GarageBand, which I know many people use around the platform, or at least you used to. We can talk about your production and whether you've changed anything in the last couple of years later, but just the simple production, like what you can do, what you can actually achieve, and the reduction of that barrier to entry. And I know we chatted like last time, because you like to produce CDs and you like to produce a physical piece of media, as opposed to just having a streaming version of it. And that's something that we, back in the 90s and 2000s, when we were sort of growing up, you had to get a record deal to do that, or you were out of pocket like tens of thousands of dollars for studio time and for duplication of cassettes back in the day, but of CDs and all the production cost. But being able to do that, why is it important for you to have a physical copy of stuff that you produce?
I think it does go back to the days of going down to the record shop and picking out albums and buying them and that sort of thing. But there's something about the physical media that I just like having something. It's it's nice to have your songs and music out in a virtual world, but I like having a physical CD that you can, and a booklet that goes with it. And I love all the liner notes and my booklets that I'd create a wee booklet with a CD that has the lyrics in, and it's just something about having the lyrics and being able to read along. It's maybe a historic, traditional thing. Maybe I'm a dinosaur in that respect, but it's just something that I love. It's really
I think there's many of us that can attest to that. And the reason that I don't own a record player is that I would go insane buying vinyl of all the old albums that I already own on CDs. So I have to try to avoid that. So the artwork that goes into it, again, in terms of creativity, while we're on the topic of creativity in general, the artwork that goes into your album art and the other things that you do there, and you can see it behind your head there. You've got your album artwork framed up on the wall there. Where does that come from? Is that something that you do yourself? I already know the answer to that. And how do you create an album art when you're sitting down at scratch and going, right, what is this going to be?
Yeah, a lot of it comes from chance, to be honest. I'd created all myself. I use my iPad, and there's a wonderful app on the iPad called Procreate, which allows you to composite images and put text and so forth on, and draw. And the Blue album cover there was just a photo of some lightning, a lightning storm that was rolling across the city at the time that I really liked the photo of. The one in the middle here is actually a photo that my father-in-law took of the sun that was affected by the Australian bushfires back at the start of 2020. And that's unaltered color of the haze of the sky. It was the smoke that had come across the Tasman to New Zealand, sort of thing. So
Yeah.
it's opportunistic, finding these cool pictures and photos. And actually, some of a lot of the album art that's within my new album actually comes from video snippets of the videos I've done. I've just taken a screenshot of a particular scene that I like, and then incorporated it in as part of the artwork. So really simple way to do it, I suppose.
Very cool, yeah, and I guess like with sound, you talk about found sounds and being, and we'll explore this later because you definitely use some experimental techniques with some of your sounds. Use what you have, and you'll be surprised. Sometimes I'm looking for an idea and inspiration for something. Scroll through your photos. Everyone's got like a big chunky folder of photos on your smartphone. Just scroll through, and you'll be amazed at what you can find in there. And even if you just find a snippet, like a corner of a sky or something that's going to inspire you, there's all sorts of things that you're going to find in there. So it's all
throw a filter over it, whatever. You can
exactly.
you can do some amazing things. Yeah.
So and Procreate is amazing. I know Jade Starr's done a couple of videos on Procreate lately. If you want to learn about that, it's definitely worth the investment. If you've got an iPad, especially if you've got the Apple Pencil and iPad, it is next level cool. We've got some comments from folks. So SM Borthwick says, always jumping around, constantly coming up with new ideas, which might explain why I'm not finishing much at the moment, possibly. I've lost the comment there. Tons of snippets, says Mark, working on the Mac or the iPad. Derek says, the look of relief at the end. If you talking about the video there, the relief now that you know that it's take 20, you probably know why Glen was looking so relieved.
7 seconds from the end, you'll see my eyes suddenly change and a smile come across my face.
Frank says his life is like that cube. Still haven't figured it out yet. No, like it. We've got some questions here, so why don't we grab some viewer questions and then we'll move on to our next topic. Clayton von Kluge asks, have you ever collaborated on a track with anyone in the community? So you did say you yourself and I were kind of your team of three, and you do create alone. Have you collaborated, or have you featured on anyone else's music, or has it all been Glen Clark?
No, I have jumped on to a couple of tracks here and there. Jude Capana, I've collaborated with a track, one of Jude's tracks called Distancing, which was really good fun. And Kim Pilger and I have collaborated as well. And a couple of other people around the traps I've contributed to.
Nice.
So Thomas Glen and Stephen, whose surname escapes me at the moment. But there's been some really interesting, fun things that we've just kind of, someone's approached me and said, do you want to throw something on this track, whether it's guitar or bass or vocals or whatever it is. And it's been really, really fun to be able to do that sort of thing. I'm lining up Andy Goldsby actually because from the Indigo Sunsets, because I reckon I'd be quite keen to participate in something that he's creating as well. So
totally, yeah.
Just putting it out there, Andy.
I love it. I draw some comparisons. Like when I was thinking about this interview today, I was thinking about my chat with Mike Haggith, who's an amazing sort of singer-songwriter, and he reminds me a lot of you. He does his own CDs and even vinyl pressings and that he does, and he's very focused on the artwork and things. And Andy Goldsby the Indigo Sunsets over in the UK. So I think you could get like a traveling Wilburys super group of you folks from all around the world. I think, and you've all got similar styles and similar sorts of music, and you'll do a great job. Is that tattoo on your forehead now? It's rubbed off, so we've kind of ruined that. So what was with that? So for those that missed it, you had the little cut here logo on your forehead. Where did that come from? What was the concept of that, or is that honestly, a little secret thing just for you?
I don't know. It was just. I guess in my mind, it was kind of a one flew over the cuckoo's nest kind of situation. So someone sitting in an asylum obsessed with this Rubik's Cube that's taunting him kind of thing, and I just thought that's the lobotomy line, to I suppose it's just No idea. It's just one of those creative things that are like, oh, that'll be a good idea. And it's funny that someone should mention it was a tattoo, because a few people have mentioned, oh, what a stupid tattoo to get. It's like, no, it's just it's just stage makeup. So yeah.
Yeah, stage makeup, and we will again. We've got a lot. I'm prefacing a lot of things that we'll talk about a little bit later.
Teasing
I
it.
know, teasing it. I've learned that. Another question here from SM Borthwick. Do you make different masters for your CD? That's an interesting question. For those that maybe only ever release their music to streaming platforms, do you do anything different for a CD, or is it all pretty much the same for your streaming masters and your CDs?
No, it's the same. So essentially, I just throw. I order the CDs through an online printing company. There's a great one here in New Zealand that allows you to print the booklets. You just drop your artwork in, and they print it up, send you the CDs, and then it's just a case of burning them yourself. So it's very much a homegrown creation process. But yeah, I just throw the streaming masters go onto the CD as well.
Yeah, and I guess you're probably asking there, Scott, because for vinyl it is a very different thing, and it's something that I don't want to go down because it sounds very super complicated. When I was chatting with Mike Haggith a few months back, he talked about that process, and I think he said he went through 6 vinyl copies before he found the right master that would work well. Because if it's too loud on your master for your vinyl and it make that record skip at a certain point, then no one's happy and it's not going to sound good. So yeah, if you're doing it for CDs, you're okay. I'm not going to show the end there because you got to go and see the satisfied look on Glen's face at the end when he gets to the end of the Rubik's Cube. Let's jump to our next topic here. So songwriting. You mentioned at the start that and look, you are a prolific songwriter because you've released album after album full of great songs. 4 albums worth of music. And look, Thomas Christ is there going 4. I mean 18, but anyway, who's counting?
Yeah, that's right.
But for me, for those of us that have maybe done 1 or maybe none albums, what's your songwriting process like? We've already sort of talked about the whole one at a time thing and a lot of this already that's based on a concept. But when it comes to the actual song, so writing music, writing lyrics, what's the order? What's kind of the process that you go through?
I guess the process for me often starts with a strong visual image. So whether that's a photo or or just a storyline in mind, quite often my songs have come from the end product video that I want to shoot. So for example, I was inspired to do a reverse backwards video for my song Bruised. But I didn't have a song. I just knew I wanted to do a backwards video where I was wiping makeup off my face, or which would then be applying makeup on my face. And so so that was my process, was starting with that image and then working backwards and sort of asking myself, okay, well, what does that mean? But it varies for me, I suppose. One of my recent songs is called "The End of Something New." I just had that title in mind and I didn't know what that would mean. So again, it's taking that and sort of reverse engineering, I suppose. But yeah, occasionally I'll just lyrics will spark in my mind. A strong story is really a good driver for me as well. I like the songs to actually tell a bit of a tale as they go through. And yeah, so, and then for me, once I've got that concept, it's literally pick up an acoustic guitar and try and work some chords that might work with that, and maybe see if I can get something going with it. So yeah, it's sit down and then just refine, rinse and repeat, refine and run those lyrics over and over until you kind of get all the odd syllables out and get the timing all right, and go from there.
Oh, it makes it sound so simple, doesn't it? And I know when a lot of people say, "I get writer's block," and then I listen to you guys, and you just like, "Oh, you just do this. You just have an idea. You write some lyrics. You grab a guitar. You get some chords, and you're off to the races." Simple. And then you create an epic video like this as well at the same time, based around that concept, which I know disturbed me and disturbed a lot of people the first time we watched it. So. Yeah, this one must have been a challenge, but I guess your theatre background, you're a little bit more familiar with the makeup because you didn't actually get into a fist fight before the
No,
making this
no,
video, I'm
no.
assuming.
Yeah, so all I did for this video, all I did, it makes it sound quite simple. All I did is apply bruised makeup to my face and wiped it off,
Yep.
and then reverse the movie. Um, Although because we all like a challenge, I added the lyrics. So I was filming this. I put the lyrics on the wall in front of me, the reversed lyrics. So I recorded myself backwards and played the song backwards, so I could so I could sing the lyrics in reverse, so that when I play the video back the right way, it looks like I'm lip syncing the right way. So it's yeah, and that was my spark to create that video, and the song came afterwards, I suppose. So.
That's it is super cool, and yeah, again, I know I'm not playing the music here, but if you want to, I know you will. If you're watching this video and you haven't seen Glenn's music and you haven't watched the videos, you'll want to go and do it. You want to go and check them out because every video has something different. And like you say, there's some little Easter eggs in there and other things. So it's worth watching a few times to kind of get there. And you've done so you've done some cool videos. So the reason I kind of know a little bit about this already is you've done some behind the scenes videos for a lot of your music as well.
Oh, yeah,
So
true.
if folks go over to your YouTube channel, which is linked down in the description, and there it is right there. Go over and subscribe to Glen Clark. You can obviously check out all of Glen's music, but you can also the album launch here. So the You Can't See Me album launch video is an hour long, and you actually give a lot of good detail about the songs and the creation process. So again, for folks that watch this show, because I know you're all creators, or if you're not, you're at least inspired by creativity, then you'll probably want to go and check out Mr. Glen Clark. Hello to some folks who have joined us. Hello, Dan Exberg, who's dropped on in. I hope you're doing well. G'day to Tim Osborne, who says, love Glen. His music and videos very inspiring. So that's very kind words from Tim as well over there on the Facebook. And yeah, you can also follow Glen on Facebook as well. There's a link to Glen's Facebook and also the Songwhip page. So there's a couple of places you can go there. If you're on the Facebook, you can check out Glen and follow him there, and the Songwhip link. So whether you're on Spotify or Apple Music or all the places you can stream Glen's music. Let's talk recording. Let's nerd out here a little bit because I know that a lot of folks here like to know the behind the scenes. They can see your guitars hanging there on the wall, and they'd probably like to know a little bit about that and about how you record as well. So last time we chatted, you were using GarageBand on a Mac. Now I believe you got a little bit of sad news about the about your recording Mac.
Yeah. It's sitting down on the floor. My old 2011 Mac died on me, so I ended up getting a Mac Mini, which
Lovely.
is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, the M1 chip, and wow, it's GarageBand's a different beast when when you've got that. So yeah, I've really enjoyed. I still use GarageBand. I started with GarageBand, and I still use it, and absolutely love it. I feel that. I've looked at Logic and taking the next step, but actually I'm getting what I want out of GarageBand. It's doing everything for me, and more sort of thing. I feel like I've been able to and harness its potential and kind of really do the things that I want to do with it. So.
Yeah, and it's great to hear because I know that you're a member of some of the Facebook groups around GarageBand, and it's almost a weekly thing that someone will come in, usually a newer user, and they'll say, "Can you really make professional quality sounding music with
Yeah.
GarageBand?" And all I generally do is just point to you and Gary Hubbs and Jade Starr and all of the amazing and Thomas Cry. Well, Thomas doesn't use GarageBand, so I won't point to Thomas, but I point to all of the folks who use GarageBand and just say, "Yeah, you absolutely can," because I think people kind of miss the point that you don't need all the bells and whistles if you're creating music. Quite often, especially if you're creating singer-songwriter type music and rock and roll music, you don't need a whole lot. You need some reverb, you need some delay, you need some compression,
Yeah.
and you need to record your tracks in. And yeah, is it? So I mean, we'll talk again a bit more about the music creation process. But what do you use in the way of plugins or effects or things? Do you have
Oh,
a
okay.
usual effects and usual chain you use, or it varies a lot?
Yeah, I've got a go-to plugin that I it cost me about, I think it was $40 back in the day. It's Kazrog True Iron is what it's called, and it's an emulator, a transistor emulator.
Oh wow.
And to my ears, it makes any digital sort of sounds more natural sounding. So, and I put it on absolutely everything. That's the one. It's a beautiful plugin. It's super subtle, and I use it on vocals, drums, bass, guitar, whatever. I throw that on as a matter of course right at the start of the chain,
I
and
like it.
yeah, and just an incredible warmth that it kind of adds, or a naturalness to some of the sounds. So yeah, that's my secret sauce, I think, when it comes to and had a very good review by the White Sea Studios, and he was yeah, really surprised by how good it actually was. So definitely check that out.
So not snake oil in that case.
It's not snake oil, no, absolutely not. So
Uh,
it does cost, but to my way of thinking, it's a really good investment. As far as everything else goes, it's just stock GarageBand, reverbs and things. Occasionally, I'll grab a few third-party plugins and things like that, but I don't tend to use them all that often. It's mostly just the GarageBand amp sims and just although some of those amp sims I need to pull a few things out to sort of
yeah.
clean it up a wee bit, but yeah, for the most part it's just plugged straight into my Behringer interface and strum away. So.
Now you use I think we talked last time way back when you use a Behringer. Now you use one of the Behringer HD series interfaces, I believe.
Yeah, the UMC
Yep.
that 204, so just a little
Yep.
two-port interface. It's brilliant.
Which does an amazing job. And look, I know a lot of people talk down about Behringer, and you can definitely buy some very cheap Behringer gear. But yeah, those UMC, the HD series, the preamps in those and the converters in those are super clean, and have to listen to your music. It sounds fabulous.
Yeah, Midas preamps in there, and yeah, they're really really good. So yeah, and that's been my setup since 2017 when I started recording, and yeah, hasn't really changed.
It's working
Maybe I'm
for
a
you.
dinosaur, and maybe I should try something different, but it's working for me, so I don't really need to.
That's what I think that's the misconception a lot of people get is that they get the gear or they get the new tools or they get the new plugins and they think that's going to improve their music. Whereas I would argue that 90 to 95% of it is your songwriting and your recording. And if you get the songwriting, if you write a good song and you record it well with a nice clean recording, the rest is kind of just the gravy on top.
Yeah, it's really important when just stepping back to the songwriting for me that I like to write the songs on an acoustic guitar because I think if they sound good in an acoustic way, then they'll sound great in a with the full production behind it, sort of thing. And I've had the opportunity to play some of my originals recently on an acoustic, and I'm so glad I wrote them on an acoustic because it means that I didn't have to do anything special to perform them live. So yeah, so it's a really cool. That's my preferred way of doing it. Yeah.
I like it, and I must admit that yeah, I hear you on that because the few so I'm the same. Most of my stuff is based on an acoustic guitar and a chord progression and a hook. But the few songs that I've written not on acoustic guitar, and then you have to reverse engineer it. It's like learning how to play your own song or learning how to arrange a version of your own song on acoustic is a challenging thing, and it's weird.
It's
People are
tough.
like, oh, can you play that New Beginning song that you did for Songtember? And I'm like, nope, because that was a lead riff on electric guitar, and it's a two guitar wall of guitar sound, and I still haven't worked out how to play that properly on acoustic. So yeah, it definitely works well. If you're just joining us here live, welcome. Please say good day in the chat if you are here live. If you're on the replay, don't worry, we love you just as much. Whether you're here live or on the replay, if you can hit the thumbs up button, that really helps us out. And do check out Glen's links down in the description. I know many of you are already subscribed, already check out Glen's music, but you will not be disappointed if you go and check it out. There's always something interesting and new over on his channel. We are brought to you today by Bandlab, so we're just going to talk very briefly. Now, I mentioned this to Glen. I said Bandlab are our sponsors today, and Glen, you haven't checked out Bandlab, so I get to talk to you like a whole fresh pair of eyes and ears. Yeah.
I know. I don't know anything about it. It's I've been aware of Bandlab, but I haven't had the chance to check it out. So
There you
Ready,
go.
ready and waiting.
So I can talk directly to Glenn, but also to you, anyone that hasn't checked out Bandlab. It is a fantastic platform. So from here, you can see it's got some social media aspects here, so you can see who you're following and see what they're doing. You can make posts here. I should have posted this video. I will. I'll post this video afterwards on Bandlab to make sure that folks there can see it. You can actually collaborate on different songs. You've got all of your projects here that you can jump in and view. You can collaborate with other artists. You can even find other people. So there's explore features to find other artists that are even in your area. So I was talking about this with on a recent show, and I said, "Oh, I don't like performing with people near me." Well, that's okay. You can go worldwide. You can say, "I only want artists in New Zealand to collaborate with. I want to go on holiday to New Zealand, so you can find other artists." And the coolest thing about this is the barrier to entry is zero, because it doesn't matter what gear you have. If you've got anything that runs a Chrome browser or a Safari or an Internet Explorer, even though I think they don't do that, Edge, whatever Microsoft's one is, you can create right here in the browser. So you can jump in here, you can set up your instruments, you can record from your audio interface, from your MIDI keyboard. There's a whole plethora of sound packs in here. So if you want some inspiration, you can bring in sounds, acoustic guitar samples. If you're not like Glenn and can play an acoustic guitar, bring in an acoustic guitar loop and you can actually add that directly into your track, and then you can mix and master and get a high resolution copy of your song, all for free. People say to me, how do Bandlab do this? How do they not charge for anything? Well, they do a whole bunch of stuff, but this is like their public service. So this is to help people and to help promote collaboration of music. So Bandlab, very, very cool people. Jump over to the link up the top there, studiolivetoday.com/Bandlab, and join up. And Glenn, I expect to see an account from you and a request to collaborate on Bandlab in the near future.
That's very cool. What a great way of being able to collaborate as well. So much easier than sending stems or into the cloud and back. Wow, that's awesome.
And it is cool. So, and if you're thinking, look, I want to use my GarageBand or my Logic, I don't want to change up, I don't need it, I don't need to learn a new DAW, Pete. You don't even have to do that. So if you just get a mix down of your project and throw it into Bandlab, you can get, so say you want to get a vocalist or a drummer or a guitar player or a bass player, you just throw your version on there. They record in theirs as a WAV file, they collaborate back, you extract that straight out and you throw it in your project. So you can use it as kind of the holding ground. Yeah, it's amazing stuff. So we do thank Bandlab. I've been meaning to check out Bandlab for ages, and when Bandlab reached out and said, "Hey, would you like to do some videos for us?" I said, "I would love to," and I've kind of fallen in love with it because it does a lot of cool things. So do check out Bandlab, and thank you, Thomas, for throwing the link down there. We've still got another nearly 30 minutes to chat with Mr. Glen Clark here, so plenty to go here. Now we've all the stuff we've been teasing, we can start talking about now. So you mentioned in the recording side of things, you use some alternative techniques, and you've used some different kinds of instruments and sounds in your recordings. Do you want to talk us through a couple of those examples?
Yeah, I like. I guess I like creating sounds myself. I suppose so. I guess probably my most recognized sound is using a shovel. From a song "Killing Time" off my my third album, which the song is a murder ballad. It's about someone digging a hole in burying a body in a forest, and that was my concept. So what is the song about? And reverse engineering. But I've got, just outside my window, I've got a small vegetable garden. So I hung the microphone out of the window and went out at 10 p.m. one night and started digging in the garden in time to a click track, so that that sound effect became my snare drum. So I threw it into the track as that. I've used mouse clicks as snare drums. I quite often use my voice, even singing into a microphone boom is enough to put some effects on it to create a kick drum and so forth. So I've used spinning plates to create sound effects, all sorts of basically anything. I kind of always looking out for really cool sounds and inspiration to add into a song, because I think it just adds something different, something really interesting for people to hear.
Absolutely. And if you want to sort of hear it and see it in action, Glenn's got a great deconstructed video of that Killing Time song. So you can check out all the tracks, all the different sounds, and exactly how that was all done in, of course, GarageBand there. And someone in
Yeah.
the chat, Midnight Bandit, was saying that they use PC, so they're like an infidel around here. And no, like, that's the thing. We don't actually mind what you use. Like I say, I use GarageBand. I
Yeah.
love
Just
Bandlab.
record.
I love Cakewalk. Just record. Just hit record and use what you have. And I think those found sound things. That's the thing. I think a lot of people say, "Oh, the problem with GarageBand is everyone's music sounds the same." And you know what? If you use just the loops and just the audio instruments, they do. But the thing is, if you've got a microphone, you've basically got an infinite possibility
Mm.
machine. So you can go out and record anything you like and bring it into your tracks.
The power of your voice as well. So there've been a couple of tracks that I needed wind, so I just make a wind sound into the microphone, or birds just whistling in the background. And by the time you throw it into a track and add some effects to it or some reverb and so forth, it's barely recognizable as a human voice. And so it's kind of, for me, it's almost a way of tricking the ear into thinking that you've got a really cool sample, but it's actually you just singing into a microphone. So
True.
but yeah, always looking out for sounds, whether it's a spinning bicycle wheel or whatever, any sort of cool sound that you can sample and then turn it into something that's really good fun.
Very cool stuff. Ever spun your rollerblade wheels and got sampled anything from that?
I haven't yet, no, but they have obviously been used in videos,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I haven't. Yeah, but maybe, you never know.
There you go. There's an idea. And Dan Ekberg says you have a song called Killing Time. I actually have Murdering Time, so I'm even slightly
Murdering
more
time.
violent than Glenn. But I think, did we both do that for the Song Spark group? Was that where your Killing Time came from, your murder ballad, or was it
No,
just coincidental?
I think it was coincidental because mine was quite a way before that, I think.
It
But
was, yeah.
yeah, so but yeah, just coincidence, I think.
There you go.
Don't
Yeah.
don't worry. There's no lawyers involved, Pete. It's fine.
I haven't stolen your concept of I liked it. Yeah, it was. Yeah, again, it was original thought, but like I say, whenever people say, "Oh my God, that's totally copied from there," "Oh, that's plagiarism," I'm like, remember that in the Western scale there are 12 notes, people. So let's not get too
Yeah, that's
excited.
right.
If you're stealing someone's melody, it's very difficult to create something completely different from everything else with 12 notes. So.
Exactly right. Yeah.
We got a question here from Mr. Tim Osborne over on Facebook. Do you ever use Garage? There you go. So we know you've got an iPad Pro there. Have you ever
Yeah.
used GarageBand on iPad, or have you been purely on the Mac?
I admire people who can use GarageBand on an iPad. It is a complete mystery to me. I've used it a couple of times to maybe test out a concept or something. But I can't use it. I'm not sure why. I'm a Mac native and
Mm.
am really comfortable with what I can do on that. But when I'm faced with the iPad and GarageBand, yeah, it's a mystery to me. And so I really admire some of the quality music that's coming from those that work on an iPad is
Mm.
incredible. It's just it blows me away. That to me is the step above Mac GarageBand. If you can produce amazing music on an iPad, then man, you're awesome as far as I'm concerned. So yeah,
Uh,
not my cup of tea. I do use my iPad for recording concepts. I've still got the old Music Memos app that was
mm,
discontinued years and years ago,
mm,
but that's really useful to get concepts down. You can then import that into the GarageBand on the iPad, and then
mm.
do a wee bit of tweaking if you want to sort of separate drums and bass and things like that. But that's about the extent that I would use it. So yeah, good question, Tim.
Very cool. Yeah, yeah, and it is interesting, and it's weird because if you talk to someone that uses GarageBand iOS, GarageBand Mac is a mystery. Like the first time I used GarageBand Mac, I was completely lost because whilst it has some similarities in some of the sounds and some of the methods, it is completely different. I didn't
It's a
even know how
different
to
beast, yeah.
start a new track. Like I was totally lost. But again, I was a PC native, and then I used iOS, and then I moved into Mac OS, and it's only been, as you mentioned, the M1, so on the newer versions, Mac OS. Monterey and the one before that, some Californian town, that it's a lot more like iOS now, and it's getting more that
Yeah.
way. The next version we've just seen, there's a settings app now instead of the control center. Like everything is becoming iOSified. So if it is the right time, if you haven't checked out a Mac, you probably should. And again, you don't have to. I say
Go,
that, but if you're gonna, yeah.
going from my 2011 clunky old Mac to the Mac Mini, the biggest game changer for me was being able to color the tracks. is to assign a track color. That just
Uh,
made the world of difference. And to me, it's the simple things.
Again, it's those simple things, isn't it? I love it a lot. We have talked a little bit already about video making, but I wanted to go into sort of the next level here and nerd out a little bit. So obviously your concepts are amazing, and a lot of the concepts that go behind the videos. The technical side of the videos, is there any tips you have for folks that are looking to make a music video? Obviously with your reverse lyrics one, that was fairly
Yeah.
complicated, but just the general sort of nuts and bolts of bringing together audio and video. What's some things that you do there, or some tips you'd have for
Um,
folks?
so I guess from my side, that's all I use. It's just an iPhone SE and a selfie stick
Mm,
quite often. So that's my technical setup. Um, I'll usually play the song that I'm recording on my iPad so I can lip sync along to it. But I like to look for different lighting techniques. So be it a swinging light bulb or light shining through a crack in the door. There's lots of ways that you can film without going big budget. I don't really use green screen so much, but I'll find a blank piece of wall and sit beside it and film myself performing the song and whatever it is.
mm.
So yeah, there's so much you can do. I compile all my videos in iMovie. So again, I've been tempted to go for the upspec version of iMovie, but iMovie is doing everything I need it to, and I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, it's there's a few tricky things that you might need to do. You might need to bounce the video 2 or 3 times to add in some additional effects, but
Mm.
it's not really any major issue kind of thing. So yeah,
I
I'm
love that.
traditionalist, all the old stuff really.
Yeah. Oh no, it's the way to go. And again, I think a lot of folks go to the gear and go to the new software too soon before they've actually pushed the limitations. Like if you don't know the limitations of what you're using right now, you probably don't need anything better. It's once you start hitting those limitations. So if you're making videos, you're like, okay, actually really just getting completely jack of having to render these out multiple times. I'd really love some extra tracks and some extra effect tracks and audio tracks in here. Then yeah, maybe you need to get Final Cut Pro. But yeah, the difference between $0 and well, here in Australia it's $319 for Final Cut
Yeah,
Pro, so it's
it's
probably more
about
than that in New
500
Zealand
here.
dollars.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
so it's a crazy cost to go to Final Cut Pro, and the same like Logic's reasonable, like a little bit more affordable in terms of music production, and I got it kind of for the channel, so in terms of
yeah.
just to show it and to use it because people ask me about it. But yeah, if I was for my own music production, I fall back to what works for me, and I think the
Mm.
same with video production. If you're using iMovie and it's working for you, again, it's more about the quality of the story you're telling through the video and more about the footage that you're shooting and making that interesting. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be interesting and hold
Yeah.
interest. How do you manage that? How do you actually find interesting things that are going to hold someone from the start to the end of the video?
I guess that's where the video and the songwriting really have to work so closely together, because
Yeah.
if you have a video concept, you really need to build a strong story around that video concept. So and but again, I also like to look for interesting shots. Be it me sitting on a pair of roller blades scooting around the streets, or there's lots of interesting shots that you can do to create a music video without having to tell the story. So
Mm,
so there are plenty of opportunities to sort of experiment. I actually, some of my videos I do compile on the iPad using iMovie on the iPad. It's a
yeah.
much simpler stripped down version, but you can throw some nice filters over it. You can put a comic style filter over, and it transforms your video suddenly. So yeah, there's lots of it's really a case of experimentation for me. It's have a concept, take some footage, and just kind of play around with it, different lighting techniques and things like that. So yeah, that's
Absolutely. And I think one thing that you have done as well is it doesn't always have to be your footage. So you've used some stock
no.
footage and used some other shots
Yep.
and things in some of your videos as well.
Yeah, big fan of Pixels, which
Yes.
is royalty-free stock footage, and Quite often you'll find a theme on there as well. So an artist may have produced multiple clips of different different things that are here we go, that are all themes. I'm bringing you back to a nightmare, Pete.
We had to discuss this. You knew we were going there, Glenn.
Yeah. So the video we're watching, that's quite an old song called Ashen Face from my second album, and it came one night. There was a particularly bumpy flight that I was taking, just a domestic flight, and I remember looking out of the window of the plane and kind of seeing your reflection, sort of thing, and that just sparked a song about a plane crash. So so this video was actually created just using photographs, and I use an app on the iPad called Wurble, which animates photographs, and you can add different lighting effects and smoke and flame and things like that. So so again, the concept is just still frames, but all strung together. And unfortunately, I encouraged Pete to listen to this song as he was taking a domestic flight. So apologies.
Yes. So Glenn released this song, and I used to, in my day job in the corporate life, I'd fly to Melbourne quite often. I'd be on like the 6 a.m. flight, and for some reason, Glenn had launched this the night before, and I woke up and I was like, "Oh, a new Glenn Clark song. I'll listen to that while I have my wheat bix in the morning." And I put this video on, and it's just planes in flames and wreckages, and I'm just like, "Oh, thanks, Glenn. I'm feeling really great about my flight now."
Have a safe flight.
Right. Yeah. Oh, good stuff. Yeah, and we've got a lot of folks here. So we do have a question actually here for you from Thomas Christ. Have you tried Lumafusion for video on iOS? It is what a lot of us use, I guess, and it's kind of that in between. So yeah, if folks are looking for something between iMovie and Final Cut, and they're using iOS, Lumafusion is a good option. Have you ever tried or dabbled with Lumafusion?
No, haven't either. And again, that's mainly because I've been able to do everything I need to do on iMovie. So,
Yep.
but yeah, definitely worth checking it out. I think it's only about $50 New Zealand or something. It's actually
Yeah.
reasonably priced, so it could be worth an investment and see what it does. So,
yeah, absolutely. Especially if you don't have a Mac or a PC with decent video editing capabilities. Yeah, LumaFusion. If you've ever watched a video on this channel in the last 5 years, every single one of them's been edited in LumaFusion, and it was weird.
Nice.
I mentioned recently, I don't talk to Apple very often, but when they released their new MacBooks, I was talking to an Apple rep, and they're like, we like your videos. What do you edit using? Do you use Final Cut Pro? And then it's like they're hoping that I say, yes, I use Apple's products. And I'm like, I use LumaFusion on my iPad, on my iPhone. And they're like, oh. So I think they were quite shocked that someone that creates videos every day would actually use a mobile app instead of one of the big ones, instead of Premiere or Final Cut. But you can do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We've got we've covered a lot of topics here today, and we've only got about 8 minutes left because Mike over at Creative Source is up next with Fix My Mix, which is his weekly show, which everyone should definitely go and check out. You need some. Glenn's music doesn't need fixing anyway, but it would be cool to hear some Glen Clark music on Mike's show. And again, if you've watched or listened to my Your Music Live show, you would have heard Glen Clark being featured in the past, and I'm sure there'll be some more Glen Clark in the future. Let's just pivot sideways a little bit, mate, because you were chatting to me in the pre-show saying that this is nice to sort of just have some relaxed time and chat music because you're working your ass off, as we'd say on this side of the world at the moment, with a production of Bonnie and Clyde that you're working on at the moment. Tell folks a little bit about your role in the theatre, mate.
Well, I am. I'm currently directing a musical, so just casually. So yes,
throw it out there.
I belong to a theatre company called Centre Stage Rolleston. I'm one of the exec team, and I was given the opportunity to direct Bonnie and Clyde the musical. Who knew that was a thing? But absolutely fantastic experience. It's been probably a year in the making as director, just pulling together ideas for script and the set and props and all that sort of stuff. So it's been a crazy ride and some amazing talented cast members. We're 3 weeks from opening today, so it's getting to that pointy end of the season, and we're definitely starting to get to that, full runs and dress rehearsals and all that sort of thing, and it's just such an excitement. And then my job will be done, and I'll just get to sit back and watch the show, which was fantastic. But yeah,
That's
it's
so
been
cool.
super time consuming. So I was really glad to be able to produce my last album at the end of last month, because now we're really full on making set and props and things, and it's just kind of a crazy time at the moment. And so it's lovely to actually step back into the music side of things for a change, and just enjoy a conversation about creation and things like that. It's really cool.
Oh, brilliant stuff, mate. So yeah, so if anyone is in Rolleston, I don't know that we probably have any other viewers here, but for the folks that may be somewhere nearby, that you can make your way there and check out Glen's production, that would be very cool. I do have to get over.
Sudden influx from overseas.
There you go. Yeah, I was talking like we're working out at the moment where our next trip is, and because we're a little bit gun shy when it comes to travel at the moment with all the global P words and C words and things going on. Yeah, New Zealand's probably our next international destination. So
Nice,
yes,
nice.
hopefully we
Wow.
make it over, and I can hang out and play some guitar with Glenn at some
Yeah,
stage
you know
in
where
the
we
near
are.
future.
We'll break some bread, and yeah, it'll be cool.
Awesome stuff. So, what's next for you then? So, once you get obviously Bonnie and Clyde's happening, is there another album in the? Have you even thought that far ahead, or do you just need to let your brain rest for a little bit before you go to that next phase?
I have actually thought about this, and I was going to do some more originals, but then I thought I've got 40 or 50 songs on my albums there, and so I had an opportunity to play three of my newer songs live and acoustically recently, and it struck me that I actually quite like the versions because I did some slightly different arrangements and different pacing
Yeah.
and that sort of thing, and I thought maybe I could take three songs from each album and compile an acoustic album of
Mm,
my own songs, so kind of covering my own songs maybe.
awesome.
And I think, well, what would I call it? And then I thought, well, maybe I could call it Lost and Found. So kind of, so that's my
Ah,
concept, is that I think I'm going to sort of head down an acoustic route and just see if I can
wow.
create some decent versions of my own songs just using a guitar and a voice. So yeah, that'd be my next project, hopefully.
Very cool. I love it, and yeah, it's a really good concept. And I must admit, I there must be something in the air at the moment because I just did that with, funnily enough, "Murdering Time," the song that I recorded
Oh,
a
cool.
year ago. I just did an
Yep.
acoustic version, and I liked it so much, I just released it because it was literally
Yeah.
just a couple of acoustic guitars and two vocal tracks. It was a four-track song, and it just
Nice.
sounded really good because, again, like you say,
Yeah.
you do something slightly different with the arrangement. You always, when you're multi-tracking, you don't have that, I guess, pressure, or you can space things out. If you're playing one note on your guitar at a time, it's okay. But as soon as you have to do an acoustic arrangement, yeah, you're
Yeah.
playing more chords and doing more interesting things and different tunings and capos and things. So, yeah, that's fascinating. I look
Yeah.
forward
Yeah.
to
So
that.
so so I think that'll
Yeah,
be my next long-term project. It might take me a year to do, but anyway, that's that's fine. And I
and
won't
then you
probably
can
have to do music videos for them, which will be even better. So it might be quicker.
There you go. You can go on tour. Expect to be touring Australia. You can come over here and tour your one man acoustic show, Lost and Found. Glenn Clark coming to a theatre near you soon.
I was
Uh,
thinking maybe of getting yourself or Jade as my backing band. That could be pretty
Absolutely,
cool.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I would definitely support. I would definitely support Glenn Clark. I'd love to open for Glenn Clark, and or you sit in the back and strum away at an acoustic guitar. That sounds
Yeah.
like a great deal. Thank you, mate. It's always a pleasure. It's been too long between drinks here, and I know you're very
Absolutely.
busy, and it was great that you had the time here because it is a public holiday in New Zealand today.
It is.
The
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
time of a brand new public holiday, which is fantastic.
Yeah. We're very excited. Yep.
So great.
Um, Yeah, it's a celebration of the Maori New Year over here. So it's kind of a first time for a brand new public holiday, which is quite a new experience. It's awesome. So,
Brilliant, brilliant stuff. So, where's the best place for folks to go and check out your music? We've got links down below, but jump on over to the
yeah.
YouTube channel, to other places
Yep.
to check out your stuff.
YouTube, Facebook. I've distributed everywhere, including Bandcamp and places like that. I
Nice.
do have the odd CD around if people, those dinosaurs who want to buy one, are still there. But most of my music is free to stream on all the usual streaming platforms, and my wife will appreciate the retirement fund of the extras 0.005 of a cent.
Yes, go and stream Glenn's music for 2 hours so that he can like buy a packet of Tic Tacs or something. I don't know.
Yep. Woo.
Thank you very much, Glenn. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for the interaction
Thanks, mate.
again. I know this time isn't really great for everyone, so if you are watching on the replay, especially for our folks in the UK and Europe, and you're catching this one on the replay, do leave your comments or your questions. I know Glenn will be down there in the comments, and as will I after the show. So if you have anything else you wanted to ask or you wanted to pick Glenn's brain about, then you can go ahead and do that and check out all the links. And once again, a huge thanks to our sponsors here, Bandlab. They do help keep the lights on around here, and it's wonderful that they support independent music and that they support creating music and collaborating with other great artists. So yes, look forward to seeing Glenn over there on Bandcamp. So no pressure, mate.
Thanks very much, Pete. Really had a great time today, and awesome to catch up with you, and great to see everyone in the chat. Thanks very much.
Brilliant stuff. Go check out Glen Clark. And right now, if you're here live, jump on over. There's a link right there in the chat. Go over to the Mike's show. Mike at Creative Source has his Fix My Mix show. So you can jump over and grab that one now live. And thanks everyone for being here. As we say at the end of every show, be kind to yourself this week. Be kind to others. Keep creating, folks. And we'll see you next time on The Creator Town Hall. Bye for now.